Is there any other way to describe Chelsea today other than clueless? Big Steve.
Yeah, they're definitely in a team in transition, big time. But the cluelessness.
How can you be in transition with that quality?
No, but
players.
But I'm not even putting it on Potter, because at the end of the day, it was the
Who
same
we gonna
thing.
put it on then?
It was the same thing under Tuchel.
Nah,
So
man.
so these players, they haven't had an identity for a while. You know what I mean? It's not saying Tuchel had a set way of playing.
Big Steve,
and
are you about to please tell me something that I would love to hear? Are you saying it is player accountability?
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying these players have been lost for a long while. Yeah, and it's gonna take Potter. There's names there. Yeah, he's got names, good, or you could call stars in his ranks, but it's gonna take him a little while.
I'm sorry, boys. I'm sorry. Dunk, especially, no, Neil, especially, because he's the first guy that points out I don't have an opinion. But come on, man. This has nothing to do with... The formation isn't working. You have players like Sterling playing right back or whatever they were doing. Yes, Neil, please tell me I don't have an opinion so I can stop.
First of all, Splinters. Settle back down. I think you're half right with most things. But today they did try and mix it up a bit. But they've got a lot of injuries, Chelsea. A lot of injuries. More injuries than Liverpool when they were going through their epidemic of injuries that they were telling everyone about. But they tried changing formation today. That didn't work. They still tried with Havertz, which doesn't work other than if you're playing foot. That's the only time Havertz is ever going to score goals on a consistent basis. The formation and everything else that is going through and trying to work is too late. No preseason, no player accountability, and no momentum, and a very disgruntled dressing room. I would assume from start to finish. I would assume that dressing room isn't in the place that it should be. And Potter's inherited I don't want to say mercenaries, but he bought Aubameyang. So we're not talking, again, players to take you to that next level, players that are in their prime, players that are looking to build up. You asked Duncan earlier if Man City were a two-man team. You got those two men. You don't. Why not use them to as much as you possibly can? Because they're that good week in and week out. You don't really see De Bruyne having a bad game or Haaland having a bad game because they put in the effort. Even when Haaland touched the ball like 3 touches in a game, he still scored a goal. So like it's about being in the right place and putting in the work effort. Potter's at a situation where I don't want to say it might be too hard of a challenge for him, but going to have to trust the process, be a part of the project, which I hate all of that rubbish. But I like that you said that.
I like that you said that. So with Dunk, let me ask you this: with Arsenal, it's always been trust the process. A lot of the questions that came out with that is, okay, Arteta is trying to do something that he doesn't have the players for. That was always the argument. Oh, he's trying to implement a system that he thinks is in Man City. So you could see a system that could potentially work if he had the players to do it. Yes, fair enough. This is just Chelsea's second loss on the Potter in the Premier League. But we're not seeing anything. Are you actually seeing a system that could work? And then you go, oh, yeah, maybe he doesn't have the players. But from what he's trying to do, Sterling playing pretty much, Cucurella playing, I don't know what he was doing. What is Potter trying to implement? What is the process we're supposed to trust with Chelsea?
Yeah, I think we were on the right track with that conversation the other week where we said, has he found his best starting 11? Because he certainly hasn't, because it's changing an awful lot. So I guess the process at the minute for Potter, I mean, again, he's brought some grace with the wins he had, like some nice wins against AC Milan. But it seems like he's just experimenting with the personnel that he's got at Chelsea. But I think, like Steve said, the problems were there under Tuchel. Like this group of players hasn't really performed particularly well, like for a long time now. And like Neil said, he's inherited Aubameyang, who I have to say I'm delighted he had an awful game against Arsenal. Considering the way, like I'm not down with this way. Like a player acts that poorly to get a move away from the club, and then like he's supposed to be celebrated. So yeah, I'm delighted he had a poor game. So.
I was just about to ask Big Steve, how did you feel inside seeing Aubameyang not actually play well and being subbed?
I just didn't want him to score. Well, actually, no. part of me wanted him to score because apparently he had this whole celebration worked out to go in front of the Arsenal bench and put on a mask or something like that.
I really wanted him to score so much. I wanted him to Adebayor it. I was hoping that he Adebayor it for the whole day.
I wanted him to score just to see what the reaction was going to be.
Yeah,
but the fact that he didn't play well, I'm not surprised, to be honest.
No, I think we're being a bit harsh on Adebayor. He didn't play bad. There was just nothing there, right? They were just all poor. It wasn't like he was the fault of this. I think Potter has to figure out what he wants to play, and then he needs to figure out how he gets to that in the situation we're in. And I'm assuming, again, massive assumption, Chelsea fans, you can correct me otherwise, this is going to be 3 or 4 steps back, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but 3 or 4 steps back to try and strip that team out, strip it down to a club that looks like it's going to be back on the up, because they've done so well with how they were doing it, but Potter isn't the type of man that you get in to go out and spend £100 million on 3 different players, right?
That's a bit harsh.
No, I mean that in the nicest possible way. Potter isn't somebody that doesn't want to have a long-term commitment to that and go, I just need to sign the best of whoever's going to sell the most shirts. Kind of like, I don't want to say, like the Real Madrid, Chelsea have turned into kind of in England, right? They churn over the managers and they sign the top players, and they've done really well from it, and it's worked really well. But for me, and I don't know how the Chelsea fans, you don't get Potter in to be that type of guy because he wasn't up at the top of the echelons of management.
So are you saying you get
kudos?
Are you saying you get him as a manager to grow slowly, to build?
Yeah, you're looking at a 5-year project or 3-year or something to change.
The Potter situation is similar to what Arteta walked into at Arsenal, when they've changed the whole all the senior management positions, the technical director, whoever they had, they've changed all of that, and the owners come in and said, oh, he must have said, this is what I want to do by getting Potter in. So he's got to give him grace, because none of those players that are playing there were signed by Potter. Yeah, he's changed the technical director, as I said, the person who makes signings. So they have to have a long-term project, because otherwise it would make no sense.
Can I ask you both, Duncan, Big Steve, a question? Because you've both kind of said a similar thing, but with different words. You said grace, Steve, and I think, Dunk, you said he's bought some time. They've lost twice. We're not assuming that he should be in a sack race at the moment, are we? It kind of it alluded to it. I'm not saying that it was, but it kind of alluded to the fact of Potter, maybe his days are going to look numbered. That's not the case, is it?
No, I think I'm thinking.
Would you be surprised if they sack him?
Chelsea under Abramovich. That's what I'm thinking. Chelsea under Abramovich. I'm hoping under the new guy, he's seeing more sense.
Yeah,
and he knows that he's got Potter in for a reason.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking about Saka. Just like grace with the fans, like nice winning starts so the fans would adhere to him a bit.
Would you guys be surprised? Would you be surprised if he gets sacked?
Yes, 100%. I would be surprised, because it's a really poor appointment to get him in to do what the other guys have been in before. He's a different type of manager, and I noticed, because he's done wonders at Brighton and he's made that team competitive, and the fans were fully backing him, and he left that. I say a comfortable job, because he was doing so well that he had grace there. Like, he could have lost 30 games and had some decent grace, right? Like Eddie Howe at Bournemouth, when he finally got the boot, there's a big period of grace that he'd have to go through, but to do that. So it'd be interesting for the Chelsea fans that are listening to this to let us know that what they would like the club to potentially do, or what direction they think it's going to take. Because if I was a Chelsea fan, this is probably I don't want to say the saddest times at the moment, but it's probably the oddest times in the last 10, 15 years, maybe, since like Abramovich has been there, etc.
Martins.